feet? That's a question on page 19. My focus to APC moves to consolidate gains in North Central. And that story is on page 21. And on page 22, we have everything woman in communication. Ability to listen is everything. And that's according to Ayotomiwa Akintode. Promoting caring and sharing globally for 2026 International Day of Happiness. And that's on page 23. Yes, International Day of Happiness. And that's celebrated annually on March 20. Moving on, we have Entrepreneurship Digest. Our goal, not just to produce garments, but build manufacturing ecosystem. And that's according to Omobolanle Molawole. Taking some sports stories. On page 30, we have Iran in talks with FIFA to move World Cup games. Arokodare opens up on Edwards tactics in Wolves equalizer. We have NNL Super 4. Inter Lagos, Doma United beyond limit. Yobe Stars battle for tickets. NFF launches appeal against FIFA over DR Congo eligibility ruling. And that's all still on page 31 on the back page of Nigerian Tribune. Nigeria risks international sanctions over controversial anti-doping nomination. And lastly, we have NSC salutes Ogoke as she retires from the national team. And that's all we have on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Before we go over to other papers, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. So, no need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish your kids.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Victor, over to you.
All right, now I've got the Vanguard newspaper right here with me, and of course, interesting stories. Starting from the one on page 5, the Maiduguri explosions, survivors recount ordeals, service chiefs relocates to Borno. Okay, there's a recounting of the tale by some of the survivors and the victims, and of course, plenty to unpack in there. Middle East crisis, U.S. counterterrorism director resigns over Iran war. And yes, we also have Iran's national security chief, Larijani, others die in Israeli strikes. We find more of that on page 8. On page 30, 1.16 million students benefit from 206 billion naira NELFund loans. On page 26, 2027, resigned by March 31, Tinubu orders appointees seeking elective offices. Okay, I'll flip into what we have on page 10. Kayamo orders probe into Akure Airport intrusion. On page 8, Idil Fitri, federal government declares tomorrow, Friday, public other days. On page 19, Nigeria's oil output drops 9% to 1.483 million barrels per day. And on page 7, terrorists threaten to kill 32 abducted Kaduna villagers over 30 million ransom. We also have right here on page 8, Tinubu's UK visits, sports, investment, deals and job creation. And on page 9, no judge has power to order lawyer to kneel in court. That's coming from the NBA. All right, let's take a delve into the inside pages of the Vanguard newspaper for today. Starting from what we have on page 4, FAAN visits Gusau airports, comments for a governor. Zamfara 16 energy to tackle challenges affecting women. And SSG, 3 days after Lawal's defection, APC electronic membership registration, it's 158,697 in Zamfara. Okay, we have on page 5, the Maiduguri blast, survivors recount ordeals, service chiefs relocate to Borno. A victim recounts, I had a loud sound and my neck started bleeding. 23 dead, 108 injured in multiple suicide attacks, says Borno Police Command. Terrorists deploying multiple suicide bombs into Maiduguri, says Army. Tinubu condemns attack, asks security chiefs to relocate to Maiduguri. Northern governors Ndume call for urgent action. Maiduguri blast signal resurgence of terrorism, erosion of public trust, says Atiku. Tinubu exchanging pleasantries with King Charles while Nigerians are mourning, says ADC. On page 6, we are seeing WSCIJ urges Tinubu to back media sustainability pledge with immediate action. Amechi blames Tinubu government for insecurity, condoles Borno bomb victims. Lassa fever, Benue records 383 suspected cases, 47 confirmed positive. A Mayfield's trial, court orders AFCC to pay 500,000 naira fine over serial adjournments. That's an interesting one, really. Alleged forgery, courts adjourns FAB CEO's arraignment, and court grants UK-based journalist badge of 15 million naira bail. Okay, we have on page 7, terrorists threatened to kill 32 abducted Kaduna villagers over 30 million naira ransom. And on page 8, we have more. Wike's ally, Abuja strongman, Philip Aduda quits PDP. Okay, federal government partnering states to tackle insecurity, says Shetima. On page 9, no judge has power to order lawyer to kneel in court. NUPRC pre-qualifies investors for 50 oil blocks bidding. 2027 polls, 50% Nigerians lack confidence in INEC and says electoral reforms urgent and unavoidable. Okay, Ogun retirees and up to 280%, says Abiodun. 3 million coke outlets are potential killers, says pharmacists. 2023 presidential poll outcome is embarrassing, says Sanwo-Olu. Fani Kayode slaps Momodu for criticizing Tinubu. Okay, there is more on page 12. Shetima Obasanjo Jonathan Grace Soludo's second term inauguration. Seats at home, Anambra security outfit, Agune Jimba seals over 1,000 shops. Igbo groups, ADC stakeholders threaten governors opposing Southeast presidency. Bar at 54, Group hails governor as icon of infrastructural revolution. Niger Delta ex-agitators forum, Lord Tinubu back Otuaro's reforms on page 13. On high-tech, from ideas to validation, how startups can structure pathways. Boundary crisis for alleged severed heads yet to be recovered on page 15. And yes, we have a commercial break right now. We'll come back with more stories from the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
Breaking news. The home is under attack, but not for long, because Hypo is here. Dirty floors and surfaces.
Not on our watch.
Dirty and stains don't be do shakara. We got the remedy, original palasa. Hypo, go hypo.
Germs always find a way back.
No green. Protect every day with Hypo.
Hypo go hypo.
All right, thank you very much for sticking around with us. Well, continuing with what we have on the Vanguard newspaper, on page 16 is the viewpoint. Nightclubbers as political errand boys. Trump and the meet of strong American institutions. And of course, on page 18, we have the comments. Challenges before IGP Disu. Laws become weapons. A warning to the National Assembly. On page 19, Nigeria's oil output drops 9%. And of course, we have the Swan shipping firms defend freight hike, cite inflation and FX pressures. Okay. NPA say Papa traffic system review won't disrupt ports. On page 20, firms upbeat as economy. Firms upbeat on economy as confidence index hits 39.4 points. Gas supply falls 8.5% to 4.7 metric tons daily. On page 21, Bayelsa proposes summit of all built environment professions. Okay, we have the Benin Traditional Council set to expel Queen over Palace visit. Sanctions chiefs, others demands apology, threatens legal action. Community Chiefs disown petition against Monarch to EFCC. And security, Otu assures Navy of stronger partnership on page 21. All right, flipping on to what we have, page 26, we have the Naira watch. Naira rises to 1,403 Naira in parallel markets. And on page 27, I need to stop my son from marrying her. Mom needs to stop making a fool of herself. And more stories right there. On manufacturing, on page 28, textile exports crashed 55.3% to 16.55 billion naira as imports hit 1.06 trillion naira. 5% GDP allocation to industrial financing boost for manufacturing, says Palmer. And yes, we have an attempt, yes, to promote Adire with the Guinness World Records on page 29. Sapele local government presents 13 billion naira 2026 budget of reassurance. That's an interesting one, really. And of course, we have on page 31 the sports page. World Cup, FIFA not willing to move Iran's matches to Mexico. 2026 World Cup playoff, FIFA throws out Nigeria's petition against DR Congo as NFF reacts. And we have Champions League, Osimhen's Gala battle, Liverpool at Anfield. Cycling, Kanye, 19 others flag off ride for autism in Enugu. And the T25 Nation Invitational, Rwanda, Ghana to play opener as host Nigeria welcomes Zimbabwe in second match. Mother's Day, Joshua pays tributes to late friend Shinon Latif. 2026 World Athletics Indoor Championships in Ekwechi is Nigeria's only rep. Well, those are the stories in there, and of course, we have a run of today's matches in the Champions League and the Europa League playoff. And of course, results from yesterday, where Chelsea were beaten by Paris Saint-Germain 3-0, and Arsenal 1-0 against Leverkusen. And that's as much as we can take this morning on the newspaper review segment. We're going to break now, return with the weather reports. Thank you very much for sticking around with us. We are now in the interview segment, and what we are discussing today is quite interesting. Well, we're talking about renewed terrorist attacks on military bases, matters arising this morning. And we know that in recent weeks, well, Nigeria's witnessed a troubling resurgence in attacks on military formations, particularly in the northeast out there. And we've seen coordinated raids on bases to the destruction of critical assets out there. And these actual incidents have raised serious concerns about the capacity, strategy, and evolving tactics of the insurgents groups that we've seen across Nigeria, across time. And of course, this morning, we'll be taking a critical look at the renewed terrorist attacks, on military bases, what's driving them, what they reveal, and what they must change. And we're in conversation right now with Comrade Yinka Adeniro, who is a journalist, and he will help us unpack everything that we need to see out here. A warm welcome to you this morning. Good morning. And what are your first thoughts about these matters arising?
Thank you. Good morning. Well, my thoughts is just it's unfortunate we're still where we are, and instead of making progress, we're still going backward. It's so unfortunate that human lives keeps losing value by the day, just because of maybe one radical belief or the other. It's really, really unfortunate. And when you look at the overall interest, you look at what has this done to us as individuals, what has it done to our collective image, even locally and internationally. And, you say nobody will clap for us. Nobody will tell us that we are doing well in that regard. So I think it's really unfortunate.
Looking at that recent wave of attacks, I would like to ask, is it that it's just getting more visibility that they've been there before, or there is an actual spike in these incidents?
Well, I think I want to give that part to the media. Either on the spike or on the low falls within the purview of the media. We only hear about it when the media project it so. A whole lot of things are happening world over that due to media projections, you will hardly hear of them. you will not talk about. So I wouldn't say really they are on the spike, but maybe just because of the media reportage of some of these things is bringing the matter to the front burner for us. However, it is not commendable that we still have to talk about how lives are lost on a daily basis. It's still that we have a situation in our hands that we have been grappling with for years. And the fact that this still continues despite renewed efforts by the day, despite investment in security architecture on a daily and regular basis, that we still record some of these things shows that we're not getting it right somewhere and somehow.
Let's look at statistics now. Between March 3rd and 9th, just this month, we've had over 100 soldiers killed. And we'll look at, we keep talking about battling insecurity. We keep talking about how, our troops are killing them on a daily basis. But when we have, our troops also being killed in these numbers within this period of time, what exactly should our government be looking at that we are overlooking? Because when we have people that should be protecting us being killed also, they do not even have enough capacity to protect themselves. How do we talk of them protecting the citizens?
Beyond the amount of money committed into military hardware, technologies, and I think the greatest loss to Nigeria is the lives of soldiers and military operatives that we lose on a daily basis. Those individuals, they are national assets and investment. Aside from the fact that they have responsibilities, they have people who look up onto them, they are our national investment. So when you look at the amount of money spent on vehicles, on equipment, on logistics and whatever, just to motivate those guys, the loss is still not enough to say, oh, this is what we are losing. For me, our greatest loss has always been the number of military officers. Yes, on the other side of it, the victims of some of these incidents, they are cherished souls of this country. They are people who can also be useful, given the right opportunity or used the right way. However, what are we not doing? I think the fact that we're still battling this shows our level of failure in the areas of reorientation. When the security chief was talking about, it is Ramadan season, these guys feel they want to, like there's a promo somewhere in heaven, and they want to, partake, kill more people during Ramadan, and, this is not the first time we'll hear this. Over the years, we've had some of these insurgents, these jihadis, claiming falsely that, they believe that then when they kill people, they're getting virgins somewhere. I've met Islamic scholars, I've met religious leaders, fantastic one at that. They will tell you, no, these things are not true. But look at it, this is what we have been battling. What have we done? What are we investing in reorientating people? What has government done? It brings to question what kind of environment has the government provided for some of the people that teaches these guys, that make this information available on a daily basis. When one life is lost, when they recruit people and such lives are wasted, they are still scanning, looking around for other people. So what happened between the time that an incident happened and the time they used to groom more people to carry on the same faith, the same belief, the same orientation, even though wrong? What has government done? What is the involvement of these religious leaders?
We keep talking about government, and you're talking about reorientation or even orientation, and we keep talking about government, but let's look at the people at the lower cadres now, the people closer to these people. How do you think the orientation or reorientation should be carried out? And secondly, when we have people with such mindsets, how do you purge their mind of such belief? But before you answer that question, we have a commercial break. And when we return, we'll go into that question. Please stay with us.
Breaking news. The home is under attack. But not for long, because Hypo is here. Dirty floors and surfaces.
Not on our watch.
Dirty and stains no fit do us shakara. We got the remedy, original palasa. Hypo, go hypo.
Germs always find a way back.
No green. Protect every day with Hypo.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients.
and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
Thank you very much for staying with us. We're still talking about terrorist attacks on military bases in Nigeria, and of course, the ones that happened a few days ago, just this month, and we heard scores of military soldiers being killed in that attack. But beyond that, before we went on that break, we're talking about reorientating these terrorists, talking about jihad, talking about how the benefits they get when they kill people during Ramadan, the orientation they've had. And I was asking, apart from federal government, mentioning orientation, looking at the people closer to these people on a lower level, how do we begin to purge their mindsets? And do you think these people are really ready to be purged of such mindsets?
Thank you very much. I see happen the role government has to play, or the role government is playing. Like somebody said somewhere, he said, just on the straight language, he said, after God, na God. Now, the first God is the Almighty, and he said the other God is God, means government of the day. Now, whatever the Almighty does, seals, but also the government of the day has the right, has the power to determine whatever it is. Government is about guaranteeing, giving assurance to the protection of lives and property. That is sacrosanct. That is what you sworn oath to protect. Yes, we know there are pockets of people, individuals, interests that will always want to counter this. You see, where we will not be able to say, oh, this individual is, when there are things like this, interests are always divided. People harp on the economic situation. People harp on orientation to take advantage for themselves. Some people are really making money from all of this. But you know how much they buy all of this equipment, military equipment you see around? One just rocket launcher that you see this guy's parade? I'm not a security expert. But when we take a look, some of this armored truck that you see them driving around, you know how much it costs to fuel some of those bikes, some of those vehicles around? It is a big economy. And people are taking advantage, they are leveraging on it. They are milking from insecurity. And what do is to recruit people, take advantage of their situation. You know, they brainwash people easily, say, oh, ask some of those people. They tell them they pay me. Some of those people that have been arrested, how much were you paid? Peanuts. But the fact that somebody can latch on to the economic situation, deceive you, or coerce you, lace it with wrong religious belief, and make you feel that what you get on earth here, even though pecuniary, the one you target up there is the biggest. Government can do and undo anything. Can you imagine a situation whereby we say, okay, government is regulating the kind of messages that we preach out there? Why do you have the National Orientation Agency? An important arm of the government to change people's mindset about wrong beliefs, both locally and internationally. Can we leverage on this? Bring on, yes, you see a lot of campaign at times, you see religious leaders saying this, saying that, okay, pushing the right narratives. But is that enough? Has that been able to change this narrative? Has that been able to change our story? So, you see, it's about the government putting on the machinery and the resources, putting them in place, bringing the who is who. People on the wrong of the ladder, from the lowest to the highest, bringing everybody together and highlighting the roles each individual would play. Now, the time... Okay.
Maybe they have done that,
okay.
And they have not gotten the right results because of, hiccups here and there. Let's talk about some of those bumps now. Is there any form of trust between communities, the local communities, the civilians, and the military? Let's ask the questions. Let's scrutinize, because we might say the government, but in activating these things, they would also need these people perpetrate whatever they do around communities. And like you mentioned, it's a big economy. It's some individuals who have given them the intelligence, which they have failed to supply to the military. So what exactly is missing there?
A whole lot is missing. I don't know if you're aware, I read a story recently of a 7-8-year-old that served as informant to insurgents. I don't know if you read it. The guy plays into the community, plays around, and acts as deaf and dumb. And people took him to be deaf and dumb. They talk, they relate. In fact, they give him food, they take care of him as just an innocent boy. They said he has never spoken up until he was suspected and arrested. And said, oh, so you can speak, so you can talk. The fact that we said this is an economy, start from the unfortunate situation whereby they can recruit people as informants. Can you imagine somebody coming to you with such an offer? Say, just give us information, leak information to us about what is going on in this organization. I'm sure you would think twice. You look at the implication. Whatever they offer you, I know you have higher prices. Nobody will come and talk to you that give me information and give you a peanut. Don't worry, I'll give you 10,000. I'll give you 5,000. And I'm sure you look at the person and say, if I mean, if he dash you that money. Do you understand? But it's just because of your economic status and your level of understanding of the implication of what you're doing. So the orientation comes about, not about what you want to do as innocent individuals, as somebody who feels is poor, as somebody who feels that, oh, I see people up there, the way they are managing our resources is not good enough, and you think, I don't care about what happened. As people who understand that, oh, when somebody dies right beside you, it has a way of affecting your emotion, as a way of affecting you, as a way of affecting the progress of the community. As somebody who has a right mindset that when I give information to this insurgent and they raid our community, it means life has gone down. It's about having the right, but you don't place the interest of, oh, what do you want to get? I want to get a peanut. They don't even see it as peanut. They see it as leeway. And for some of these guys that serve as informant, the good thing for them is that they have connect with those that matters. What we should be questioning here this morning is, what are those things they tell them that override their reasoning to the point of succumbing to do whatever they are doing? Jihadis don't just strike. Some of these things that are well orchestrated, that's why they call it coordinated attack. Look at what happened in Maiduguri recently. 23 people died, over 100 injured. Coordinated attack. You go here, you go there, you go there.
And even the military attack, the military base that was attacked was still in Borno State. And we keep looking at, okay, is there a reason why this particular state has been under attack for the past few days? Is there something we are not seeing, or is there something that has not been said to the public? Why Maiduguri, that it's been happening frequently for the past few days or few weeks?
Yes, one of the things we also need to recognize behind some of those insurgencies is the mineral resources in some of these communities. Initially, when some of these things started, we felt, oh, it was because, okay, they wanted to attack our farms. You know, there was a rumor, I can't confirm it though, that, oh, because neighboring communities, neighboring countries that supplies us with food materials, beans, millet, and some of these things, you know, because of their weather looks so much like that of the north, they produce some of these things in good quantity and they bring it into the country. So their effort is to cripple our own, farmsteads, disturb our farmers so that they will be able to produce. And also, it was out there unconfirmed that, when the government shuts the border, not bringing in food, they felt, okay, what they can do is when they disrupt, our farmers from not being able to produce, we're going to starve, we'll be forced to open the borders and bring, some of these things are just out there. Because you look at, okay, even when government decides to open the border, allow foods to come in, some of these things are still occurring. You say that, oh, if government's okay, it is the farmers, they don't want them to. Government support, provide inputs, and encourage them. Some of these things still happen. So you look beyond some of it, and you know that, okay, we feel because of the mineral resources in some of these communities, in some of these places, maybe government is, up until recently, the federal government has not taken the issue of mineral resources very seriously. So some of these people who are really making money from they are having few days.
Are we going to see the government are not taking mineral resources very seriously, especially with the fact that this is a means for us to also generate income for the country, or we are just not taking the lives of people seriously?
Like I said, up until recently, that the government now choose to see that, okay, we want to diversify the economy. Over the years, the focus had always been on oil, the money we make from oil. Now the cost of a barrel of oil is on the rise again. It's very easy for a government that is not bothered to really focus on that. Okay, we are making more money now. We want to neglect all other places. However, don't forget that beyond the government, people who are in the community, even when they don't know the value of what they are getting, people who know how to come around. We have some of these places. The issue of illegal mining has been a recurring decimal. Go and find out places and cases where you report attacks or something like that, one leg of it, one way or the other, you will not divorce it from illegal mining activities. And the fact that government is now showing interest in exploring that option to better the economy, makes these guys to also want to say, no, this is our own terrain, this is our own territory, this is where we are making money. They're not going to give in easily. Don't forget, illegal mining is a crime, is an offense, punishable under the law. These guys would also want to fight back and not allow it. So when you look at the spate of coordinated attack, especially against military bases, the whole idea is just to weaken the security apparatus so that these guys can have field day in doing what they are doing. So maybe what we also need to do, what is our level of, how far have we gone in the area of intelligence? Back in those days, I grew up knowing that, one of the things I cherish about the DSS, that even made me I love the job so much, and I was looking at, maybe someday I'm going to do it, was, the way they operate. I grew up in a community in Lagos that we discovered only many years later that there was an operative who lives in a community, who lives his life just as normal. One guy that just operates a shop, going up, what we only observe is that after some days or weeks, he may not be around for 1 or 2 weeks. And he will come back. We never knew up until, the covert operation was trying to get something. Some of these things, what is happening? Do you have enough operatives, enough personnel to be able to carry out this thing? One of the challenges has always been the number of security operatives. Kudos, the federal government is recruiting police. What is the level of apathy? What is the level of interest people showing? 50,000 constables to join the force. Fantastic. What is the level of sustainability of this? How many are we going to recruit in the next 5, 6, 7 years? How many are we losing per day? How long does it take to invest in some of these operatives to get to the level where they can stand on their feet and defend the country?
Maybe we speak now about the welfareism, how to glam up, let me use that, to glam up these, security outfits. Because you look in some countries, there are people who desire, whose life purpose is to get into the military, to get into certain sections, maybe the Navy, the Air Force, or to work maybe as a SEAL in the Army or something, Navy SEALs. And then we come to Nigeria and we find out that, in many parts, there is the apathy you mentioned. There is, the police that's been looked down on by even civilians. There is different formations that should be respected, but we do not respect the uniforms. And I spoke about trust earlier on, civilian trust. How do we regain all of that? Because whether we like it or not, some of the reasons why these things are happening is because the civilians do not trust the military. People who would have been in the military are not in the military. I read his reports, and this takes me to this next question I want to ask. I read the reports where an individual mentioned that he did a research up north when the whole issues were starting, and he found out from one of the kidnapped victims that some of these guys had been training, and who were those training them? People who could not make it into the military were the ones training them. And look at, the level of, thinking that they have. Look at the distrust that they have for the military and what those ones could teach them. So if I cannot join the military, I can join this other side. We're fighting against the government because we do not trust them. We're fighting against the military because we look down on them and we do not trust them. But these are the things out there. How do we correct this?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, you see, the trust deficit between the leader, between Nigerians and the government is not a new development. The situation we have is, unfortunately for us, is the situation keeps getting...
All right, before you delve fully into answering that question, we have some bills to pay, and then we'll go fully into that. Apologies for breaking you in there.
All right, everyone, no put your ears, make we talk. Time don't reach to rearrange his house to give us small wisdom. Sounds mighty fresh now, but you know, I beg no be so. Before I go talk, say our smell no reach. Make not think I'm twice so.
Ever heard of Colgate, the #1 oral care brand in the world? Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection unlocks 24 hours cavity defense. The formula boost with calcium for lifelong smiles.
Mom, it's your time to brush. No more cover mouth. Because we Colgate, that will do your job with your smile.
Colgate for 24 hours maximum cavity protection.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on malaria gone.
Thank you very much for sticking with us. We're still on the conversation. Renewed terrorist attacks on military bases, matters arising. And our guest, who has been providing the in-depth analysis, has been Comrade Yinka Adeniran, who is a sound journalist. Joining us right here, and of course, coming on to this question that we have about why we have certain things happening, the training to some of these militants that we have seen. What exactly is responsible, and how do we solve that conundrum that we have?
Thank you very much. The little understanding I have about military operations, you don't just fall from heaven and carry an assault rifle and begin to use. Even to fire at a local gun by hunters, growing up, my little years in the village shows that they need to teach you and train you how to cock, how to load, local gun. There was a viral video some times ago of maybe it's 12-year-old dismantling and coupling an assault rifle. Maybe AK-47, 14 or something. Assault rifle. Pieces the whole thing and put it together. And you begin to wonder, how did we get to this level? The truth of the matter is, do not forget, just the way we are worried, there are individuals also in the military who has better information, who may not be pleased with what is going on. Yes, some of these things, information they have, they may not be able to share. They may not be able to tell anyone. But you won't rule it out. There are people that are not pleased with the system, who feels either maligned, who feels cheated, who feels unsatisfied. This set of people exist in every organization. Every organization, the way we have them in public service, we have them in corporate organization. They are not just pleased. They feel things could, be better. We have them in the military as well. These guys, one way or the other, can also be lured. Because you wonder, successful operation against the military base shows an indication that there is also an informant within the system who tells them, oh, we are relaxed, you can attack. Oh, this is it. Because how do you survey a military facility up to the point of launching an attack successfully without any form of resistance? It means there is an informant, there is something that we don't know. It means there is somebody who might have given information out to aid the success of that operation.
When we have saboteurs in the military and it's difficult, or let me just say, how would they be fished out? And what should the federal government begin to look at in making sure that the formation of our military, their morale is not being affected with the daily killings that is happening around between them?
When I talked about the orientation the other time, it was not only maybe for members of the public. Like I said, people in the military who feels maybe for whatever reason, they might also be sympathetic to the cause of these guys for whatever reason. Religious belief, oh, that is my area, that is my community that has been raped. Somebody can just be angry and feels like, emotion, feels, oh, my brother, my uncle has been affected by this spate of attack, and I feel I want to. Do you understand? Some of these people too, one way or the other, they find their way out of the service. Either through retirement, they were sanctioned, went to war, whatever. These people are also being gone out. They will go after this individual like this to attract them, to woo them. Some of these yazis we're talking about, they go as far as getting training outside of this country. The people you would not believe, the people you would not imagine, are being trained by these guys. They give them training and they prepare them. You can imagine an individual who can undo different weapons, ammunitions, rifle. In the place of our party that we talked about, I'm sure many people will be willing. If not until recently, the case of insecurity, insurgencies, and whatever, that is killing the morale of many people. And a lot of people are pulling back. Maybe when they engage us now, they take us to the battlefield, and people just feel, no. The glamour and the beauty of some of these security jobs, they're still there. People still respect them. Navy SEAL, Air Force, people want to fly, people want to, they want to wear some of those uniforms with dignity. People want to wear it. But when you look at the level of insecurity and lack of assurance, we'll talk about motivation. I am not sure government is not doing good enough, mind my word, good enough to motivate them. Yes, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. There might still be need for improvement. Ask anybody, nobody will tell you on the job I'm doing, I am getting enough. They'll still tell you, I still want more. That is how it works everywhere. So whatever government is doing, there might still be room for improvement, to motivate, to encourage, to boost their morale for them. Yes, I agree. But based on what government is doing, I don't think government is doing badly in that part. So when you talk about some of these level processes, the orientation starts from even within the military. Do you know the implication of this uniform you're wearing, the brother that you went into training together, somebody from somewhere, just because you have sympathy for them, coming to attack him? Do you understand? This is the place of orientation. The way you orientate members of the public, not to be readily available, whatever the economic situation is saying, not to see themselves as tools that can be used by those people, also orientate people within and outside of the military.
Now,
yes,
with that orientation, get onto synergy, collaborations with other security outfits, other agencies, because sometimes people have pointed out that there doesn't look to be much of a synergy. Say, for example, now, the local police within the communities that have been ransacked and the military. Say, for example, now, the other task forces that we've seen. In the Southwest now, we have seen different security outfits, apart from the ones that are government institutionalized and, more traditional ones. All over the country. Are we seeing the right synergy between them? Is there an orientation towards that can help?
Well, I think, based on my level of understanding, I think we will not rule out the place of improvement in the area of synergy. I make particular reference to, I observed that in the last couple of successful operation or whatever, the Oyo State Command, for instance, Oyo State Command of the police would always say that the CP particularly would always, after any successful whatever arrest of a criminal suspect, foiled an armed robbery attempt or whatever, there's always this thing about him always commending the security operatives and other members of the society, maybe the vigilante group and whatever. In fact, they will put it at times, say clearly that the members of the Oyo State Police Command, with the support of local operatives, including vigilante and what have you, comb the bush, do this and do that. Tells you that to some extent, there is a level of synergy. I think it's very, very commendable. That may be the limit or to the extent to which individuals can aid non-state actors in the fight against insecurity. I don't think this can, look at the North, sometimes we have what they call the Joint Security Task Force, whereby they recruit local operatives too, non-state actors and individuals like that, to also support in the fight against insecurity. So in the area of synergy, yes, there may still be what we need to do. Maybe some of these people also feel that, okay, let government give us more recognition, let government empower us the more. Some of them also looked at, okay, beyond the DEN God, the local God we're using, government can also license us, train us on how to, operate, maybe something, better rifle. Some of them will tell you that, when we can actually face them, but we don't have the tools, we don't have what to face them, the firepower to face them.
Now, when we say we do not have enough tools, when we say we do not have or enough capacity to battle these terrorists head on, what exactly are these terrorists looking for in the military bases?
Well, like we said earlier, what they are looking for, one, maybe when we bring them, we'll ask them, they will be able to say, but let's all speak from
based on analysis.
Based on what we... Yes, I think one of the things they want to do, they want to achieve is one, cripple them. Anytime you attack military base successfully, You have boosted the morale of your fighters. You have won for you. They put it in their CV. And that's why they can go on social media and say, yes, this is what we have done. We successfully. And they will even attribute it to God, unfortunately. So one of the things is maybe we want to cripple you. We want to show that we are better than you. We have better strategy than you. Then two, which I think is the most painful part, they also want to loot. They want to loot the hardware. They want to loot the equipment. They want to loot, the vehicles, whatever. The military hardware, the ones they think they don't have, or the ones they want to replenish the one they've used up. So if it's about, what do they want? These are some of the possibilities of what they are looking out for. And they want to put it on record that, yes, we are fighting the state. It's really painful that an individual can actually say, I want to come. In this part of the country that we operate, you see somebody will look at a policeman, whatever the policeman does, and he will tell you, sir, I don't want to touch you because you are wearing uniform. What happened? And this is also the same country where somebody will look at, cock a rifle and aim at a military person. You look at it, what happened? What is the difference? The same environment, the same country. What is it? So what are they looking for? They also want to score points. They want to show proof to the whole world that, yes, they are still existing if you think you are winning. And I think that for every time the military come out to say, this is how far we have done, this is what we have achieved so far, these guys too also look at a way of coming with their own narrative to also say, no, we are still here. You have not succeeded. Also as a way of showing that they've not, whatever the military, whatever success story they are telling you, don't believe them because we are still here. And that's why they look at carrying out, beyond the successful operations, the attacks that have been carried out. I'm sure there are so many others that were unsuccessful, maybe nipped in the bud, maybe intercepted for whatever reason. Yes, there are at times, but it becomes very painful when you hear the number of individuals, the lives that are lost just because operations like that were successful.
All right, comrade, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comb out on Malaria Guard.
All right, thank you very much for sticking around with us. It's on the conversation, the renewed terrorist attacks on military bases, matters arising. Now, comrade, there's still a lot of things running through our minds if we are still going to get a solution to everything regardless. But let's speak to possible solutions that are sustainable across the country. What do we need to do security-wise? What do we need to do? Maybe there are other aspects. I know that sometimes we have just, majorly looked at working on the security response. Are there other aspects that are making us prone to these attacks on our security outfits, and not just them alone, our communities? Are there things that we keep doing that is making all those things reoccur? How do we actually address that?
People will go into act of illegality when they feel they are not getting what they desire, what they want from doing what is legal. A man who is ready, available, looking for a job and is not getting it, a legitimate job and is not getting it,
but comrade,
can embrace illegality.
Comrade.
Yes, it may not be enough reason, but we're trying to identify some of these issues.
Things may not always go right, but let's add patriotism to that. How do we love for one another and understanding that if you do something because you are not pleased, it could also affect someone around you?
I thank you for that word patriotism, because it's just the word I want to use. And that is where orientation and reorientation comes. Placing the national interest above your own situation. The fact that you're not getting what you want now, or things are not working for you the way you want now, it is not enough reason, it's not good enough a reason for you to embrace illegality. Especially the one that puts the security, the safety, the lives of other people at risk or in jeopardy. There is a national disparity for many years between this part, between the north and other part of the country in terms of development. With what is going on in that place, the progress recorded so far that has not matched up with other community has been retrogressing. It's just like you're saying you're opening a book, when you open to that part, you are seeing the olden days, and when you open to another part, this part, you are seeing the modern days. And yet, the same country. With the right orientation, involvement of the relevant stakeholders, traditional rulers, religious leaders. It's scary when people adduce some of these things to religious belief. It is very, very scary. You can do little or nothing. I look at you as my spiritual father. I adopt you as my religious leader. And whatever you tell me, I swallow it hook, line, and sinker without a recourse to whatever the implication is. Why? Because you told me whatever I do, no matter how illegal, it is acceptable. That is why we need to involve the religious leaders. Can we have a roll call of some of these religious? Who are those that preach some of those things to them? Who are those that tell them some of these things? Who are those that they believe they look up onto in every community? We can have a register of all of the religious leaders. Bring around every community leader. We cannot fight insecurity successfully without enlisting the traditional and community leaders. For every community that illegal mining operation had held successfully, find out there is one leg or the other of the community and traditional rulers, their involvement. Because no person will come to the community without going to the community leaders to say this is who we are. And more importantly, let every community member see themselves as a stakeholder in the success of this entity called Nigeria.
Comrade, in 60 seconds before we wrap up, from the journalist standpoint, looking at the news reporting and then the daily reporting of we make of these incidents, how do you think it benefits the people? Apart from, people sitting uptight, being security conscious, do you think it's best to downplay the incident, or it's best to bring it to the notice of the people?
Yes, on a daily basis, as journalists, as reporters, what the best we do is to bring some of these issues, bring them to the limelight so that people are aware. If some of these things are not reported, we won't be talking about it. Between here and the north, how many kilometers away? We wouldn't even know what's going on there. We just think, just because we're here looking fine, looking good, we're on air, not. There are some people that cannot even go out. Why? Because when they hear, they think, they have come again. So, we can't take that away. It's good. However, at times you get too tired. Even as a reporter, you get tired of reporting the same negative and sad news. It has a way of even affecting us, and you just get tired. Today I reported many people died. Tomorrow I reported many. It has a way of demarketing the country. It has a way of demoralizing the people. It has a way of increasing tension. It has a way of even creating fears in the mind of people. People just want to, they just don't want to, they are just tired of some of this. Yes, we cannot do without it. But that is the implication for us as journalists. Yes, we're not even enjoying it. When colleagues over there, when they tell you, even their own families, it's even at risk. Everybody wants to work in an environment when there is peace, when there is, we can always go around. Okay, if it's just about doing, what is government doing, what are they not doing, we'll look at. But, when it comes to insecurity, everything is grounded. That's the painful part of it. But I think you won't blame us for too much, but because we just have to play this role.
Thank you so much, Comrade Yinka Deniro, who is a journalist and he's been speaking to us about the renewed terrorist attack on military bases in Nigeria, matters arising, and of course, insecurity generally in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Comrade. It's a pleasure to have you speak to the particular topic. We'll be right back with our second guest. Please stay with us.
All right, so we're still continuing the conversation as we have our second guest right here this morning. The conversation is the renewed terrorist attacks on military bases. And yes, we have someone who knows all too well about the conversations on the military bases. He is Group Captain Oladele Olasope, retired, who is a security expert, joins us this morning. And I know he served in the north. Yeah, served across different parts of Nigeria, but he did well in the north as well. Welcome on the conversation this morning.
Thank you. And thank you, viewers.
Well, we have those conversations piling up over time. And I know that at some point you stop to think maybe military bases will stop being attacked. But we still have it right here happening. From your experience, do you think there's a specific reason for that?
Well, it is not out of place that military bases will be attacked, especially in areas that are predominantly full of insurgents. You agree with me that those people too, they do their homework and they have their intelligence gatherers for themselves. And you agree with me that sometimes even in civil populace, when they want to strike, they go for the police stations because that's the agency that will come to neutralize them. Now, as per military bases, they're usually stationed at the peripheral location of the towns, rarely in the north, and for them to come in to raid the people, they must attack the strongholds to neutralize the strongholds. But however, I personally will expect the military to take the fight to them rather than them coming.
I mean, but over the years, we've been taking the fight to them. And we've seen, I don't know if I should use the word significant improvement, because as much as troops say they've been neutralized, we hear that on a weekly basis, we still see a lot of killings by these terrorists. Now, when you say they should take the fight to them, how else should they take the fight to them?
Firstly, insurgency is not like conventional warfare. Even the Second World War did not last more than 5 years. When you are talking insurgency, you are talking of issues of asymmetric warfare, really. And take Sri Lanka, for example, the Tamil Tigers. For well over 50 years, they were operating. Because in such war, there's less use of artillery to fight within populace. For Sri Lanka to wipe out the Tamil Tigers, they have to afford artillery shellings of even civilian populace. Because some of these people live with civilians and they've subdued them. And they are gathering intelligence about the military. Unless you are ready to pay such sacrifice. But however, let's come home. In Nigeria, it's a similar situation. The military, they are having more information about the military. When we were young, we enter barracks. We go there to even play with their boys, eat with them, and see what is happening there. I read of a situation, it's not uncommon, that a young boy was so trusted by the military, he shines their boots, he goes on errand for them, and by the time the military went out to kill the adversary, the boy was found dead amongst them. That means he was given information from what he saw in the barracks with the military, even with their names. So it's like a gamut like that. And you agree with me that in such a situation, it is not only dangerous for the populace, it's dangerous for the military itself.
But when we have military bases being attacked and they are killed in their numbers, and I want to talk about the issue of saboteurs now, what strict punishment when found wanting? I mean, as a military personnel, you're giving information to terrorists. How should that be dealt with?
Such a person, if found out, is supposed to be killed immediately. See, when General Adekunle was doing such, they thought he was high-handed. You cannot joke with saboteurs. Sabotage, attack on installations, subversions, attack on loyalty, espionage, attack on information. That means, to put it simple for the layman. Look, the military has its own peculiar administration. And in the Nigerian setting, if you grab a saboteur and you kill him immediately, some people will either read religious meaning to it or ethnic, from ethnic points. Either way, it is not helping the matter. It is not helping the matter. Why will you want to sabotage your colleagues? One of my classmates that commanded in Maiduguri, told me that some of the soldiers brought in Boko Haram into the units. And then they opened fire on their colleagues. So you have people, I really don't see what somebody in the service will want to gain. And we that are veterans, we were paid security and debarment allowance, that we should not use our expertise against the country.
All right, we'll speak further on that particular part because it's one of the next parts we'll go into. But let's pay these bills and then we'll be right back to talk about that.
Okay.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
All right, Thank you very much for sticking around. Well, Group Captain Oladide Olasope has been helping us out here. And yes, we were on to a different course back then. When you mentioned, what you mentioned last about the allowance being paid so that you do not use your expertise against the country. I read somewhere and I saw a couple of videos where it was pointed out that these insurgents have been receiving training, drills from people who had either been with the military before or had something to do with the military, or were at one point hoping they would be in the military and received parts training, which says a lot, in this conversation. And that answers some of the questions we have had about how they go on with the coordinated attacks. How do we expose this very clearly and battle it?
Well, only God gives contentment. Like I said, we were paid. That was apart from our pension. However, whatever amount, whether enough or not, that the nations even think that, look, you are due to this, so that this will not happen, I think is commendable. But, however, when you see people who are now engaged, who are now coming to engage you to come and be part of those to train insurgents? What are you supposed to do as a veteran? Play along with them, but give information to the security, to the military. Play along with them to know their area, their training ground, so that by the time the military comes, they will round everybody up and they will be sorted out. The issue involved in this thing is not so simple as we are seeing it. One of the best ways to make use of a veteran, we have trouble all over the world now. In Ukraine, Gaza, of late, Iran. Take the veterans there for peacekeeping. Enlist them in United Nations so that they can go on humanitarian ground to serve. Personally, I just feel, look, a disgruntled person is a disgruntled person. How do you see people, okay, this is a time of fasting, when things should be low-key. Violence and everything should be low-key. We are now seeing the thing heightening up.
According to the Minister of Defense, it says that the terrorists believe that during Ramadan, when they are killed, they are going to heaven. So they look for every means to get killed, to perpetrate these acts. And I think that brings me to the issue of their orientation. We spoke about it with the previous guest. But for someone who has been in their midst, you served in the north, you should have an idea of what their orientation is like. Maybe you'd want to share that with us. What's their orientation like when it has to do with religious ideas, religious beliefs, and of course, carrying out these acts of killing?
See, they do a lot of things and put it under religion. They do a lot of things and put it under religions. If somebody is looking for how to get electronics and all sorts of things like that, they know that it is the Igbos that sells all this eye-catching, sophisticated electronics. They will start trouble and they will start going about looting. However, when I was in Kaduna, what we did was to monitor what was being preached in the mosque and in the churches. Some people feel that whatever will make them popular is to that is to be preaching something seditious, which is morally wrong and religiously wrong. So we went to them. If you preach what will cause trouble and there is trouble, before we neutralize those boys, we will come for your family. Straight. The military, you see, well, I wouldn't say it's democracy because military is military. And when it comes to emergency, there is no time for all these laws and all sorts of things. Security takes over. And whatever it takes to secure the ground, you blood will do it. Yes, the way they preach there, same way they preach here. You even hear our Pentecostal telling you, don't eat salad ram. I grew up feeding on salad rams. I grew up eating Sarah in Lagos as a kid. And I'll go and report to my mom, Mommy, I chopped big meat. And she said, shut up, who sent you there? Oh, they are living around us. You don't even think of religion. Your best friend will be Muslim, your best friend will be Igbo, your best friend will be Calabar. It was when I got to the north, I thought everybody would be Hausa. That was when I learned of Jaba, Kilba, Katab, Lungida, Bachama, for the first time. So when they say traveling is part of education, yes. But however, when it comes to religion and this killing, there are some who will tell you these are your enemies and these are your enemies, which is really wrong. It's really wrong. You don't use religion to incite people. Religion, you use it to make peace, for peaceful coexistence. And an imam is the father of all. Whether Christian or Muslim, you are not restricted to Muslim. You are a father of all, and a pastor must be a father of all. Because God will query you. What have you done with your calling? And when you start telling youths, if you kill people and you are killed, and you go to heaven, you will be welcomed with 70 virgins. Who told them such a thing goes on there? Who told them in heaven you even sex? What kind of indoctrination is that? National orientation has a lot to do. Maybe I'm yet to feel their effect in all this something.
I asked the previous guest a question about, walking away in which, because no matter how hard you think about it, you will not always be in a pleasant situation. You will not always be pleased with the government of the day. But how do you get to think of your neighbor first? What's the orientation going to be like? Also, patriotism. It looks like we've lost that in our country, generally speaking now, because you barely see people who are very much vested in the development of the country in the right sense of it, with all sincerity.
You are very right. You see, incidentally, bulk of the insecurity is happening in the north, area where Sardauna, ruled at that time. And Sardauna was very pious. Awo, Zik, they were doing well. But what has become of the people they left or they hand over to? What are we seeing? Money to take care of the populace. You take it for yourself and the family. And even presently, look, I am not a politician. So if I say something good that the federal government is doing, it's not because I want to contest the election. President Tinubu has given more money to the governors, more than any president in the history of Nigeria. Value-wise, well, That's guns and dust. But what have they done with the money? Which opportunities have they created for people to prosper? So, if you take the money to Dubai, locked it up in Dubai, and you are now blaming the people, okay, how do you imagine this man, Gumi? You people were giving money to educate your people, provide employment, whether by agricultural base or whatever. You did nothing. They become destitute. You turn most of them to bandits. You are now saying put them in the budget. Which budget? Whose state budget? Whose federal government budget? And when these people who grab this money are being prosecuted, they will say it's political victimization.
But when we have people like Gumi and few other people calling for the protection of these terrorists, should they also not be classified as one?
First of all, who created the terrorists? Is it not their actions that created the terrorists? Did we know we have a large army of unemployed youths already? You now even went to Mali, Chad, Senegal, Sierra Leone to bring in some. And you are now telling them, Nigeria is the only country God has given you in Africa. The British handed it over to us. Come and take over. The army is even on your side. How do you think elders or statesmen, is that how to build a country? You don't develop creating banditry. You don't develop a country creating that. Look, it's not that things are too well in the Southwest, but I have to commend our leaders here that many from parts of Nigeria are running here. And the Southwest will keep developing because it's where there is peace, there will be development. Now, you see, if we are to address a serious issue, and we drag, and Yoruba knows how to drag. They have been talking of civil police or whatever. Is it civil or community police or?
Police, state police.
Why have they not been created? The president was saying we are to mobilize people, create a forest guard to flush the people out of the forest. Has it been done? Now there is a footage being circulated in the weather that by 28th or immediately after the fasting period, that they will attack the Southwest. That this and that. Whether true or false, what preparation have we done to counter? I saw the footage. What preparation have we done to counter them? But when they were telling me, I said, your son is the president, your son is the chief of defense staff, your son is the head of police. If anything like that should happen, they should hold them responsible. Security is a proactive thing. That you take due actions that it should never happen. Because when it happens, what you are doing is damage control. What are people doing all over in the forest? And some people who call themselves elders are now saying, I think we should leave them in the forest there because they are already there. Well, what kind of statement is that? The system of land tenure in the north is different from that of the south. In the south, the forests are ancestral lands. It's not that it belongs to one Oba, Emir, or Miangua, Ubandoma, and all these